Good morning. Welcome back to Grandma's World. It's Friday and it's time to do the accounting for what did or didn't happen in my planner last week. And as I went through the planner later in the week, as I was trying to look at what I had committed to and what I needed to complete, I realized that I really lost my perspective on the planner and what this was and what I wanted to do with it. And I didn't really change much other than to just kind of tweak that last week and this past week and the week before that. And now to move on, it'll be just slightly different for me. And I think it'll work better for me. So let me change the camera. And not quite that far, I think. Okay. So from last week, so this is what my planner looked like when I set it up the first time. And what I didn't pay much attention to was that I was already here in the week when I was setting this up. I was already at Friday setting it up for the following week, which was this week that we just went through. So there was no way I was going to get all of these commitments done in 2 days. When I thought of them, I was thinking of them as taking a 7-day week. So what I did instead was just roll them over into this week that is now over, and in essence ended up with a week plus a couple of days. Plus, you know, I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and so on. And now it's Friday morning again. So that's where I got my week. I need Erin Condren to just shift the days around in this a little bit so that I start on Friday and end on Thursday. And of course, that's not going to happen, and it doesn't matter if it does or not. I'm not liking this. You need more than a talking mouth. I need to see more than a talking mouth. Although there's certainly a lot of people that are just talking mouths. At any rate, so what I did complete from my list, and I have to turn this so I can see it now, from last Friday, not a whole lot, because things came up. Anybody else have that experience? Things come up and you don't get to do what you thought you were going to do. But for me, I did some things that I thought were pretty awesome, and so I don't have no grief over it. It just was the way it was. So as I explained in the previous video, I have what I call morning practice. I meditate in the morning. I do 3 pages of writing in the morning, and then I start my day after that. That's the simplified version of it. And I wanted to do it every day that I had on my calendar. It's not something I can do on the days that I spend with my mom. My mom had a medical crisis in early December. My brother and sister and I kind of have split up the time to make sure that someone is in the house with her 24/7. Part of the issue was that she fell several times. And so we just want to make sure that there's someone there to help her get up if she falls again, or to remind her to use her walker so that she doesn't fall again. So that's kind of why we're there. She's getting stronger all the time. We may not need to be there that much, but in the meantime, I'm still, after a month, I was still trying to figure out what am I going to do with myself when I'm there, because she doesn't need a 24/7 babysitter. She just needs someone in the house to, help her with breakfast and make her eat lunch, because she tends not to eat, and just take her places. I take her to lunch, I take her to her quilt club meeting, and then just make sure that she's safe is really all we there. Supervise bathing and that kind of stuff. So what else am I going to do? There are hours in those days, and so far I've been hauling stuff back and forth and back and forth. Sometimes it's the computer, and I'm going to work on the computer and editing, and then that doesn't really work out. And then I was doing other big projects, and it just wasn't working. And it was a lot of time and effort moving all this stuff. So kind of my new ideas are going to get into this new process that I'm using. The point is, personal growth stuff is just, I can't do it. I'm too distracted by the timing if I try to do it on the days when I go to see her. And by the time I get there, the emptiness of the morning in my head has passed. I'm already rolling in the day. So I'm not going to stop and try to meditate while I'm also having things go on with her. And I'm not going to write 3 pages of very personal, deep thought, which is what morning pages end up being for me a lot of the time, with an audience. So I don't even put them in for the 3 days that I'm with her. That said, I wanted to do 100% of the things that I considered personal growth on the 4 days that I'm home. And I did accomplish the morning part. I did manage to meditate 4 mornings this week, and I did get my morning pages done. 4 mornings. Did I say 3? I managed to meditate 4 mornings this week, and then I also managed to get my morning pages done 4 mornings this week. Another part of the personal growth, though, is evening reflection, and that is working the Artist's Way program for half hour or so, and then entering into a 5-year diary, and then doing my 3 best things that happened that day into another journal. And looking down, I didn't do that. I don't think I did that at all this week. I did it Friday, Saturday of last week, but I didn't do it in this calendar week that we're in right now. So it's a bit of an issue for me, because by the end of the day, I'm tired. The last thing I do at the end of the day is an exercise called spinal flossing, which always kind of wipes me out. It's only 12.5 minutes, and it's either isotonic or isometric. I can never keep them straight. But by the time it's done, I'm done with it. I'm pretty pooped. And all I really want to do is get my shower and get ready to stretch out somewhere and maybe do some stitching or maybe read or whatever. But it just hasn't occurred to me. The habit hasn't kicked in yet to do the Artist's Way and the diary and the journal. So no, I didn't get 100% of my personal growth done. I did get 100% of my intentional exercise done on those 4 days. I went to this creek. It's a dry riverbed is what it is, but it has a nice bike path on it that you can walk on. So I walked on that for a half an hour, 15 minutes up, 15 minutes down, then went to the gym 4 days. One of those days I'd work on arm machines, and the other day I'd work on leg machines. And then also in there, so I did the exercise, and then the next thing on my list here was the back room cleared. And I got really stuck with that, really in a panic about how I was going to do that, because they're just the only way that you can clear a room, because the ceiling needs to be replaced, the carpet new flooring needs to be put in, the carpet needs to be taken down. It has a lot of age damage to the walls. That all needs to be repaired. It has 2 cabinets mounted on one of the walls. I want those taken down. And it was a storage room, and so it had a lot of stuff in it. And there was nowhere to put the stuff unless I filled the rest of the house. And that drives me crazy. I've spent probably a third of my time in this house. I've been here 45 years. And I'll bet that at least 15 years of that time, I felt like I was living in a storage unit, because we were between kids moving in, kids moving out. Where do you put their stuff? It's a small house. How do we do that? And I don't want to do that again. I have it pretty much cleared to what I want to live in on a day-to-day basis, and I don't want to go backwards. I don't want to be filling the space with stuff that should be. I want it safely stored. I just don't want it stored under my feet. This is where I have to start. This room started off as my husband's office, and then it became the bedroom for my second child, And then it became an office again when my younger son moved, when my second child moved back as an adult. He boomeranged back a couple of times. And now it's been a stashing room. I've just been, as things get crazy around here, I've just been stashing things in here. It has a closet. And this is where all of the projects that I want to do as far as the house go, this is where they have to start, is in this room. Because this room is going to be my guest room. And I will have guests in here in June. It's not a big room. It's 10 by 12. And it will mostly be taken up by a king-size bed. And then I'm hoping that the bed, I'm going to put it there. I'm hoping that it leaves me enough room over here for a desk. I want the cupboards down. I need to repair the walls. There's a hole in the ceiling up here that needs to be repaired. And at that time, I think I'm going to have the acoustic ceiling taken off and have it retextured. I need to ditch the blinds. I need to replace a screen. It needs a huge cleaning. And it needs to be, I want the carpet out. Show you mostly why. First of all, it can't be saved by cleaning. But this is a whole nother story. But this is where a rat got caught in this room and ate its way out by destroying 2 pieces of carpet in my house. So that needs to be taken care of. I think I need to put a new door on it, and then it needs to be painted. And I'm going to put a vinyl flooring in here. It needs to be painted. It's going to be mermaid themed, the sea and mermaid themed, which will go with the bathroom that I'll show you in a minute. Before I can do anything, I have to clear this room out. And it's the key domino to everything falling in place for me in the renovations I'm doing to my house. And so this has to be done ASAP. Toward that end, I went and rented a storage unit. Some of this stuff I'm going to keep, like everything in that corner over there. That was when I moved out of my classroom 2 years ago, and they're mostly empty boxes. They're filing boxes that I didn't want to get rid of. They're expensive, but I don't need them right now. So that needs to go somewhere, but I don't necessarily want to throw them out. So that's the kind of stuff. All of this stuff, these are the pillows that go on the king bed in the front. They'll go back on the bed. This is a pillow I kneel on when I have to work on the ground level. So I know where it is. I kind of know where it's going to go. It just can't go there yet. I do have a basically empty closet space, but what I'm going to do with this is take down the shelves. There, can you see where this thing holding the rod up is pulling out of the wall? That all has to come down. And the shelves have to come down. The rod has to come down. Everything has to come down. It needs to be cleaned and painted. Then I'm going to use, these are the Container Store. This is their shelving system. I'm really excited about it. It's their, what's it called? Their Alpha? Yeah, it's their Alpha system. And then I can put that up, and then I'll have the shelves to put some of this stuff in. In fact, I'm going to these are all quilt projects in these boxes. And so they can be stored in here once I get that going. So that's step one. And I rented a storage unit day before yesterday. And today, once I finish all this filming, I'm going to start moving this stuff out of here. I put about 5 loads, car loads, and I have a SUV of stuff into that storage unit last week. And that wasn't, other than back room cleared, that wasn't in my list. Okay, so this is my back room. It's Friday, January 31st. This is where I stand as far as getting it cleared out. And when I go to edit this, I will try to remember to put the post of the before picture in before this one, because then you would understand better why I'm kind of so excited about where I am with this. This stuff, what happened with my son, because he had stuff stored in here, he had been using this as an office for a really long time. And I am not comfortable throwing away things that belong to other people. And so I would run across stuff in here that I recognized as not mine, and therefore it must be his. And I was not comfortable throwing it away. And so I did what I could, kind of piled his stuff here, and asked him to come and look through it one more time before I threw it out. And by that, you know, I had this whole room was up to my knees or higher in stuff, if you recall, or if you looked at the before pictures. And he immediately zeroed in on something that he'd been looking for at his house for a long time. And the expression on his face was kind of, I'm sure mine looked the same. It was like, oh my gosh, I've had permission to throw this stuff out, and this was something he really needed and had really been looking for. So that's kind of where we've left it, is I'm not throwing stuff away until he's gone and looked at it one more time. That's what this stuff is. It is either what is going to be disposed of, or I have to file it. I know where to file it. I just can't get to it right now, but I will be able to do it next week for sure. Or it's stuff that's destined for the trash or to be donated because he's signed off on it. So that part will be done. I can take that apart and either get rid of it or store it in the storage unit for now. He's going to come back and help me take down the 2 cabinets, which are essentially empty. I mean, they're not stuffed or anything. And then so my big job next is to go through all of this. This was my husband's office supplies, my son's office supplies. There are a few things here that are mine. This is a file drawer. I thought it was full of our family's important papers until my husband died, and then I looked through it and I couldn't find any of our important papers. My son finally found them in a sack back here somewhere. And this wasn't living back here. This was in another room in the front of the house. But it's full of, it's memorabilia that doesn't really mean anything to me or my sons. It was important to my husband, and now he's gone. And so it's time to get rid of this piece of furniture. So I'm going to actually bring stuff back. I have file cabinets in the storage unit, plastic file boxes that I could put what I think that I need to keep in that, and store it in a much less significant space. So that's what this stuff is, and it will take some time, you know, because I don't want to waste it. It's stuff like this. These are 4x6 index cards. I don't really want to throw them away. I might just be able to cart them off to the school and donate them. I know when I worked there, we used to appreciate, look at this, these are hard drives. And they aren't even labeled. I don't know whose they are. Some notebook paper, certainly the school could use that. So at any rate, I'm going to have to go through these one drawer at a time and then decide what to actually do with the furniture. It might be useful or it might just be in the way. I don't know, but it certainly is light. Once it's empty, it'll be light. It can be stored in the storage unit, and that will give me access to the walls. So my goal is to have the room pretty much cleared. There's nothing I can do about this keyboard except I'm going to try to clean it. I had something over it to protect it from the dust, and I don't even know where that thing is now, which bothers me because it's a nice Mickey Mouse tapestry. But I don't know what happened to that. Maybe it'll show up. But I need to clean it, take the blinds out, replace those, and then the wall is full of, it's just aged, it's old. People have been poking things in it for years now. I'd like to have the ceiling resurfaced. I have a hole in it that I need to have repaired. But at this point, my thing is one thing at a time. I'm going to do one thing at a time in here until it's empty. The keyboard can live in the middle of the room for a while, covered with a tarp, while I do the painting and the wall repair and the painting and the priming and all that stuff that has to be done. So that's where I am now. Like I said, I feel pretty good about it. I feel like it's going well. And I just need to stay focused on it. I need to keep working. I can't decide I can do it in 2 weeks from now because I have to work at a faster pace than that to get this done. So anyway, that was the time and the energy it took to pack all this up, load it in the car, cart it to the storage unit, unload it, carload after carload after carload, ate into accomplishing other things, but that's okay because I'm feeling pretty good about this. So, you know, I do feel good. The back room isn't cleared yet. I still have odds and ends stuff. There was stuff in there that belonged to my son. He needs to come and help me take the cupboards down, and he will. There's a bunch of office supplies that had belonged to my husband that I've kind of been keeping because office supplies can get expensive and you don't want to have to buy them again, but I don't know where I'm going to store them because I have my own office supplies. So I feel good about it. It's not done. I don't get to check it off my list, but I'm way ahead of the schedule. I was clearing the back room. That turned out to be a bigger project than I thought, especially since I wasn't storing it here and there through the house. I was actually taking it away. I have down here to put one strand into the spring, what color is spring quilt, and I actually did 3. So I got a little bit ahead on that one, but I didn't add anything to the Firefly Fairies except I wanted to add one strand. And if you watch the goals video, this was not in a frame, in a hoop. So I did manage to get it mostly mounted in a hoop. I joined a YouTube group called FlossTube, and to show this to them, I left the bottom undone, and that'll be the next thing that happens, is that I will put this into the hoop and put a grime guard on it, and then I will be ready to stitch on it. So I moved ahead a little bit. I probably got more done, spent more time doing that than it would have taken me to work in a strand, but I didn't actually put a strand in there. And then I didn't get any work in my yard done. I didn't get my rose pruned. I didn't get the grass out. Because I just didn't have time. I didn't think of it. I was so busy with everything else, I didn't think of it. And then one day I did think of it and went out to try it and realized that I had turned my watering system off for something. So nothing had been getting watered, and so it was too dry to work. So it's the first thing on my list for this coming weekend. In fact, it's on for tomorrow to get that done. And what I've added onto here for the rest of this weekend anyway, or for this next week, I have to stop thinking of it as working on the weekend. It's on the list now for next week. And this is the stuff that I'll be doing this next week. And I have added some, let's see. So I added the actual jobs for Friday, Saturday. Sunday I'll be with my mom. Friday, Saturday. Sunday I'll be with my mom. And then once I see what I've accomplished, Friday, Saturday, that will help me fill out up to next Friday. It'll fill out these days. 2 of these days I'm with my mom. So I'll be able to do that. Fill out the week after I go to see her on the Sunday, Monday, not Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. One of the issues that I have with visiting my mom, and I'm only going to explain this once here, and so I don't have to touch on it again, but I don't know what to do when I'm there because she doesn't need babysitting. She needs someone in the house to make sure she's safe, and I think she needs someone to talk to her, someone to keep her company. And so I don't want to be, for the first couple of weeks, I would have my computer in on her dining room table while she was she was in the family room. And I'm afraid that she was feeling too constrained. She's not able to get around the way she used to. She doesn't drive anymore, so she couldn't even go do her own errands. So I'm trying to get her out of the house more, first of all, but also I said I need something I can do when I'm in the room with her, not just sitting on the table. uh, uh, 10, 12 feet away behind her. And so I decided, and this was lovely, and I'm gonna keep doing this. I had a new cross stitch kit. Well, I've had it for a while, but I haven't done anything with it. And I had all the floss, but I hadn't kitted it up. So I kitted it up, put it on a hoop. It's this one. I hope that, yeah, here. These are needle keeps, but because I'm redecorating my house into an ocean theme, I decided to do it as a sampler instead. So I just kicked back she has a very comfortable little rocker with an ottoman in front of it, and I just kicked back and got a start on this. I did some frogging on it. I would have gotten more done, but I kind of, it's been a long time since I've done a piece of cross stitch, and I kind of lost my mojo, and so I had to go take some stuff out, rearrange. I was changing a color. That turned out okay. But it was just delightful to sit there. It's a little chilly still here, so I had a comfortable blanket over my legs with my feet up on an ottoman, just sitting there and stitching. And when she wanted to talk, I was right there. We could have a conversation. And the best part was, for me, is that while I was sitting there stitching, she pulled out stuff to stitch. And during her first weeks home, she mostly was sleeping. It was kind of hard. She was in a physical rehab facility having physical therapy for a week, and there's no way to make those places not awful places to be. So she was pretty mentally, emotionally, and physically spent after that. But now she's been in at-home rehab, physical therapy for a month, and she's much stronger, and she can do a lot more for herself, and her mind is back. And so she's been picking up her knitting and picking up her she's not doing cross stitch right now, although she has done it. But she bought a piece of plastic canvas that she really liked, and so she's doing needlepoint on the plastic canvas. So that was great, and that's what I'm going to be doing on Sundays. Sundays I find myself a recipe that I want to try, and I haul all my equipment, ingredients, and everything to her house, cook it there. That is our dinner, part of our dinner anyway, for Sunday night. Excuse me. And then I bring the rest of it home, the leftovers home, and that becomes my meals, my dinner meals, for the days that I'm home for the rest of the week. So that will happen on Sunday. But when I'm not doing that and I'm not directly helping her, I'm going to be sitting and stitching on this, and this should finish up pretty quickly when I'm able to spend that much time on it. So I feel like I had the perfect solution for that. Some things going on this year. I'm excited about the whole year. This coming up week, for today when I finish this, I've already made the food to fill my hummingbird feeders. The hummers came back, so now it's time to put out food for them. I'm watering my front yard so that I can do that, get that grass out and prune that rose and weed. There's a front flower bed there. I don't know, California is so drought focused that it's totally okay with every city that people are planting ornamental grasses, but they don't grow the same way as the grasses that grow on our hillsides in the springtime. What I call spring grass here comes up really easily. It doesn't matter how old it is. I can get down near the ground, pull it up by the roots. The roots are about this long, and it's a delight to pull out. These ornamental grasses that are going to seed all around me, because lots of people have them, don't grow that way. They're tough, and they put down a deep taproot, and they're just awful to try to dig up. And I've got a lot of it in this front planter that's a rose planter that I have to get out. I put pre-emergent on it last year and mulch, a lot of mulch, and this darn stuff is still coming up. So I have to get out there and do that. And so I'm watering there in hopes that it will, that it'll work and I can get it out. I'm going to have to buy a new hose. I had to get rid of my old hose last year. I bought a new hose. It's not long enough, so I'm going to have to go buy a new hose. In fact, I think I'll put that on my list. For tomorrow. As I said, when I'm finished with this, I'm going to try to edit it and get it posted right away. So I'm trying to keep it kind of short. I'm not succeeding at that. I need to go through and tidy the house and then clean a bathroom, clean my kitchen up pretty well. Because I just come in and dump stuff and then go to her house the next day and take no more stuff and I bring it in and dump. It's getting pretty cluttered and I need it a little bit tidier than this. I'm not a fastidious housekeeper by any means, but I would like to come home to not have it slamming me in the face every day that I need to do some work.